Live.
Hey, good morning, class.
Good morning.
First of all, we have a new student here today, Gene. Gene?
Gene.
Yeah. Could you introduce yourself? All righty. Okay, someone would like to start us off in prayer?
I will.
Okay, Cap.
Abiyah, we just thank you for today. Thank you for study. We lift up Elvoyce to you. Pray that you just speak wisdom and speak truth through the scriptures, and that we just continue to grow more and more each day in you. Pray this in your name, Abiyah.
Amen. Now, I've handed out Judges 3 is what we're going to start off. We may have to go back to Judges, a little to Judges 2 to do some cleanup work. But let's jump right into Judges 3 that I've done the handout. Now, I didn't get a chance to do a search and replace for the Lord to Yahweh or Jehovah. So when we get to wherever you see that, just go ahead and substitute his name behind him. And if when you see God, it's Elohim. So, Chad, you want to read from 1 through 8?
Yeah.
Idolatry leads to servitude.
Now these are the nations which Yahuwah left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan. Only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war, at the least, such as before knew nothing thereof. Namely, 5 masters of the Philistines, and the Canaanites, and the Sidonians, and the Hivites, that dwelt in Mount Lebanon, for about Baalamon, unto the entering of Hamath. And they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of Yahuwah, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moshe. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, and the Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites. And they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons, and served their mighty ones. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yahuwah, and forgot Yahuwah their Elohim, and served Baalim and their groves. Therefore the anger of Yahuwah was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of the Cherubishim, king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served Shofetiym, I have no idea what that is, 8 years.
Talking in tongues.
Idolatry leads to servitude.
Yes.
And this is going to be the pattern that we see throughout Judges and throughout the history of Israel. And this is the pattern we see today.
Yes.
That's one of the things we stress over and over again. In the Bible, because the Bible stresses over and over again. It's the same old, there's nothing new under the sun. Under the sun. It's the same old thing over and over again. We really come to it when we look at verse 6. They started intermarrying. Did anybody remember what does the New Testament say about intermarrying? The so-called New Testament?
Be not
Unequally yoked. And that's exactly what's going on here. It is exactly what's been going on throughout Israelite history.
And they were told not to marry the Canaanites as well.
Right.
Because this would happen.
That's right.
What happened.
It's over and over again. It's the same old thing. And then, because that leads to them serving their pagan gods.
Which we do today.
Which we do today. Hey, can anybody give us some examples of how that works out today? because we were just talking about that.
Christmas.
Uh,
To Christmas.
yeah, Christmas, Easter.
Thanksgiving.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
That's what's coming up. And Valentine is represented by Eros. Eros was, what's another name? Eros was the Greek name. What's the pagan name? What was the Roman name for? Oh man, my memory.
The Roman name for the god of
Love.
love.
Eros is Venus or Aphrodite's son.
Mm-hmm.
That's the little guy with the
Mhm.
arrows.
Yeah.
So that's what we're coming up on. And there'll be actually some Christian churches that will promote Valentine's Day and that whole thing. Almost every major pagan god is in some kind of way is reduced to a holiday or a day of remembrance in this culture.
Mm.
And the church, the Christian church goes along with every single one of them. So we were talking about, can you sit, you know, you might have a buddy that invites you to church. And so you just go sit in that church. How do you feel? What do you think when you're sitting in the church watching them worship pagan gods and idols?
I think you gotta speak up or you gotta leave. I don't think you can go along with it because you know better.
Uh-huh.
I feel out of place most times.
I mean,
Well,
what else can you do? If you say nothing, you're going along with it.
I say nothing to tell you the truth.
I have to leave.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
You
feel,
don't say nothing but that eternal battle that's going
but there's
on.
this
Yeah,
internal battle.
exactly.
You feel dirty when you
Yeah.
walk out.
Yeah.
Like you cheated on
Because
your
my
job.
Yeah. Pretty much.
my kids are strong in the Christian church, and they've invited me to church, and I went with them. I've done it 3 times this week, James, and I'm not going to speak up when my daughter's invited me to church and embarrass her. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So I just sit there and take it and leave. But now I learned that when they invite me to church, just don't go.
Yes. Yes.
But you sit there and you listen to somebody preaching stuff that you know is not true. And when you leave, I feel dirty.
So when they talk about, and he died Friday,
Right.
and on that Sunday morning.
Sounds great, don't it?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I've heard that sermon from many different Baptist preachers. And by the time they finish, the whole church is in uproar. All thing, but it's all based on something that's not scriptural.
Can you go and talk to them, take them to the side and talk to them?
Now that you could try to do. That reminds me, I gotta talk to Neville. I've done this. And then one of our little,
Giving us some money?
you wish. We've got this little handout. This is my last one,
We need
because
more
I've been
of them.
passing these out. Huh?
Yeah, we need more of them.
We need more.
I only got like 2 left in my wallet. So
Neville?
Yeah.
We need.
No, yeah, I've got a chain of the things on.
Oh, okay.
You know, yeah.
All right. But I do believe this. We're supposed to evangelize, quote, unquote, people who are into that Christian world. And we're supposed to try to bring them out. What's the first group we're supposed to bring out that we can try? Is all
Christians.
our
Our families.
families.
Families and friends.
Right. And we try to bring them into the truth.
Those are the hardest ones, too.
Morning, sir. Hey, that's right. Those are the hardest
Ain't that
ones.
what Yeshua said?
But
Ain't that what Yeshua said?
right. How look, even his own family
Yeah.
didn't believe him at first.
So a prophet is without honor within his own. I'm paraphrasing, but
No, that's what he said. That's pretty much what he said.
They
And there's a modern term, familiarity breeds contempt. As my kids see me as that crazy old dad who's drifted off into a cult.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Mm-hmm. So, but you still keep trying, particularly with your family. I think the Bible puts a charge on us to go after our children, to bring them up in the truth.
Your family, it's your household first you have to go after.
Yeah, that's what
we're saying.
I know I came in late.
But you know, it's like when you do have the truth, you know, when you know you have the truth and people start to hear that the truth is being taught in a certain place and there's an attraction to it. Because I know like Pastor Joe's church or San Joaquin Valley Bible Church, they refer to us as like, oh, you guys are that intense group because they know we're here for
That what group?
that intense group.
That intense group.
Because they know we're here for like 4 to 5 hours, but you know what, they're interested.
Uh-huh.
And they ask me questions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's something about that you possessing the truth that it's going to come across to other people.
I think so. Because it's not really us, we who bring them to the truth.
Yeah.
It's y'all.
It's just you.
Because when you follow in Torah, it's the results of you following Torah that becomes a lie. Like you guys are following and keeping the Shabbat. You guys are, you know, you're doing those things. That becomes the lie. Not that we have some type of knowledge above all reproach that everybody's gonna follow us. You know, outside of Torah, we're nothing.
Right.
Everybody.
And Yeshua gave a great model of what our role is. We sow the seed. Some falls upon fertile land, some falls upon pathways, some falls on rocks. We're not held responsible for the results. One of the reasons that always made me uncomfortable with evangelism, as taught by the Christian church, it seemed to stress that you're held responsible for whether or not people respond to your sales pitch. And that's the way they actually organize it, as a sales pitch, as a marketing tool. If you just find the right marketing tool. The four rules of the gospel. Some kind of way, if you come up with some magic words, you can bring people to Christ, as they put it over and over again. Whereas their own teachings, if you read in the Bible, Yeshua never held you responsible for whether or not a person responded to the truth. He held you responsible only if you failed to put out the truth.
For the effort.
What's the parable about the watchman? Bernard, do you remember? The watchman, if he doesn't alert the city that the enemy is coming, he's held responsible.
The blood would be on their hands. The blood would be on their hands.
Right, but if he does alert the city,
then it's
on their hands.
It's on their hands.
Stop! Don't be trying to trick me up like that.
Oh no, you seem to know how to find it. You seem to be able to go. We don't have
a smart one out of here.
We don't have McGill up here today, who usually are. But you know, like I said, I told you, I see this class as a brain trust, not as me being up there and being a teacher, handing out wisdom. All you guys have some talents, some ability to pull stuff out of the Bible, and so that's why I call on you guys from time to time. Yes.
Ezekiel 33.
Ezekiel 33. See what I mean? Somebody want to read that?
Oh,
Go ahead, Yazan.
I don't have it straight by now.
What is it?
Ezekiel 33 and what?
Wow.
Ezekiel 33 and what?
33:6.
And 6.
That's opposition.
You got it, David?
I don't have it.
Oh, God.
I was counting on
I
you,
got
buddy.
it.
Go ahead.
But if the watchmen see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity. But his blood will I require at the watchman's hands.
His blood, that's heavy. Well, that puts a hell of a lot of responsibility on us, not for the results. We're not held responsible for the results. We're held responsible for at least doing what we can to get the truth to it.
Well, I guess, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I guess reading 33 and 6, we have to read the top 3 so we can see the counterbalance.
Go ahead,
You know, it
No,
says,
you gotta read it.
and the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak unto the children of the people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon the land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast and set him for their watchman, if when he see the sword come upon the land, and he blow the trumpet and warn the people, then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet and take not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be at his own head. You know, so that's kind of counterbalanced where he said that if he does his job and the people don't take the warning, then it's their fault. But if he doesn't do his job, it's his fault.
Right. And so that's the position we're in today all over, because everybody's worship involved in our culture in some form or some fashion. Now, Gene and I were talking before the class, and he brought up an interesting point. What's an idol nowadays? We don't see people with statues in their churches and on the sanctuary. All right. That's one.
The car,
Uh-huh.
the car,
The
the
car.
vehicle.
Their vehicle, right?
Say vehicle. Say vehicle.
Their house.
Their children.
Money.
Their children. That's true. I've seen a lot of people turn their children into idols.
Anything you put before
Money,
y'all.
Right.
Anything you put first before y'all.
But that can also be, we're still naming objects. Idol can also be an idea, an ideology, as sociologists call it.
What do you mean, like Greco-Roman?
No, Greco-Roman is more, actually, yeah, because I've heard people speak of our Greco-Roman inheritance, our Greece inheritance, as if it was a idol. You know, that's the Western tradition. But if going beyond that, it's any kind of ideology. Marxist-Leninism, Darwinism, like power. That was my idol for a long time.
America.
Who was your idol?
Black power.
Oh, Black Power.
Atheism.
Atheism. But it can be any type of idea of ideology where you think that you can bring heaven on earth. Where you believe that if you get people to follow this principle, they can make the world a better place. Now, what's our belief in terms of how to make our life better?
Torah.
It's Torah. Any kind of idea that something, anything other than Torah, that if you follow, that if you can get people to follow, you'll make a better world. And we see that all the time, all around us. That's the whole point of our culture nowadays, is finding some kind of way to create utopia outside of Torah.
How about the submission to God's laws? When I said God, speaking of Yahuwah, because it's not only the Torah, but we have actually more laws that are written in our hearts. There's an addition to the Torah. Torah is a foundation, just like Ten Commandments is a foundation. But we have even more laws for every moment of our life.
Who's the we you're talking about?
We the people under God Almighty have more laws than just the Torah.
Will help you a little bit. You can't add or take away what's already been written.
Right.
I don't care what we're going through in life. We always have to go back to Torah. Go back to what already has been established without adding Not changing the comma on it, or period on it, or the question
I
mark.
don't mean changing the laws. I mean, when you walk outside and the Spirit tells you to go this way, that's not written in Torah. The Spirit tells you to do this, then you're doing what God tells you to do. That's the law. So
Well,
it's
is the
higher-
Spirit going to contradict what's written in the Torah?
No.
No, but it's going to be more specific to the moment that you're living, not just going back to
So-
history of
Uh-huh.
Torah.
It's not what you said. It's not what you're saying is not separated from Torah. If you honoring the spirit or the ruach, well, that comes from Yah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're honoring Yah when you're honoring the ruach. So that's not separating Torah.
Right.
That's not a separate law or separate ideology idea from Torah.
I'm not saying it's separate. I'm saying in the moment, something could be speaking to you that is Torah based that you need to listen to.
What is it? What is that something?
Yeah.
Okay. For example, walking down the street, and the Holy Spirit, the Ruach,
Is that y'all?
is from Yah, tells you to go right. But first it tells you first to stop and then turn right. So you do that. If you hadn't done that and you walked in the wrong direction, you were going to be hit by a car.
Anytime,
The
go ahead, I'm
Spirit-
sorry.
now, in other words, what I'm saying is that the Spirit is a living thing. It's not just something written just in Torah. It's within our heart. The
Can-
Torah is written in our heart.
The law is spiritual, but
Exactly.
Can somebody go to Proverbs 33 verse 6?
33 cents.
get the script. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I still don't have it.
Wait a minute, you can't 33 times.
You telling us and you ain't even got it.
Ezekiel.
Yeah. Proverbs 30.
Oh my
Proverbs
God.
30. What you say?
23,
No, forget
33
me.
and 6.
Proverbs 33.
30 and 6. Sorry.
30 and
I was gonna
6.
say 33, man.
30 and 6.
Add thou not to his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found to be a liar.
And Deuteronomy 4 verse 2.
Deuteronomy 4 verse 2.
Dwayne, where you come with all of this, man?
Out of his head.
I'm trying to get there.
Are you a philosopher? Is that what you are?
No.
What is it, Deuteronomy 10?
No, he said Deuteronomy 4 verse 2. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish it out from it, that ye may keep the commandments of Yahuwah your Elohim, which I've commanded you.
See, that's the main thing. That's the foundation of our Bible study. Is we don't add and we don't subtract. We don't go to the right. We don't go to the left.
That's the foundation. Maybe I'm not making myself clear.
No, you're not.
There's what we're supposed to do is the right thing. It's not contradicting Torah, but it speaks to us in the moment. You know? Do you understand what I'm saying?
As far as
That I understand what you're saying,
Yeah,
okay.
but the moment is based on what we've studied out of Torah.
Torah, yeah.
If we apply, see, I'm a lawyer, and one of the things we train to do is take principles and apply them to actions right then and there, and that's what we do with Torah. So now going to the right or the left in terms of following something instinct out of
The clear blue sky. The
clear blue sky. Sure, that can be from the Yahweh,
That's what I'm saying.
and we see that all. We see. I've experienced it in my life,
That's what I'm speaking.
but I'm not going to teach that to people.
'Cause you
I'm
can't.
going to teach Torah.
Because you
Okay,
can't teach that.
we can't.
Because you can't.
Right. Okay, now, but we wind up with this section, and the principle being taught is idolatry leads to servitude. And what do we mean by servitude?
Enslavement.
And because what are we serving? Usually there's a master.
You can't serve two.
Who's the master?
Well, Yahuwah is our master, but
No, but who's the master when you follow idolatry?
A person.
Oh, that's Satan, isn't it?
Yeah,
It
and
could be.
Satan's
That's a
manifest-
person. It's
But it could be a
another
person.
rather than God.
It could be self, right?
It could be self, right?
Or ideology, you said.
The servitude to the idolatry. We've tried to establish that idolatry is not just some statue of a naked woman or a golden calf.
Yes.
It could be any kind of idea that you use to organize your life.
Yes.
Believing that you're going to make a better world outside of Torah.
So it's a human response.
Right, it's a human response, and you wind up serving a human.
And you worshiping that more than you are Yah.
Right.
Well, but you shouldn't be worshiping it, period.
Mm-hmm.
What you end up doing is serving a world system.
The world system, that's exactly, a system of thought.
Okay.
And it could be communism, republicanism, Democrat, capitalism, socialism,
all kind of isms.
all kind of isms. Remember we talked a long time ago, if there's an ism behind a world view, that's idolatry. And we start organizing our life behind that idolatry, no matter what the results are. We become a servant to it. Right now there's a concept of guns, right? There's belief that if you get rid of guns, you make the world a better place. No matter what evidence shows that's not true. There's people who believe in that because it's became their religion. I find it ironic that some of the leading proponents of getting rid of guns walk around with bodyguards who are well armed. But they tell you you can have guns in your home or you can't buy a gun. That's contradictory. That's hypocrisy. But when people are being hypocritical, you'll find that what they're doing is serving an ideology. And evidence don't matter. Now, what does this lead to? Is verse 8. Can somebody read that again in the chat? You can read it again.
Therefore the anger of Yahweh was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of that word, king of Mesopotamia, and the children of Israel served that word for 8 years.
That's true.
There you go, what Yazzie said.
So that's what it leads to. And this form of slavery is to a person. As most of you know, I'm a student of history, most of all World War II. And when you read about Germany under Adolf Hitler, they treated him like he was a god. And his
ideology.
In fact, some of them would refer to Adolf Hitler as the Messiah. They actually saw him as a Messiah.
Well, isn't most dictators considered that way?
Yeah, but most of them are not worshipped, they're feared.
He was a Christian too, I thought.
No, he was very much Antichrist.
He was Antichrist?
He saw himself as in place of Christ.
But remember, he was studied in Scripture.
Yes, he was.
And that he, there was a time period that when he spoke, he could speak in the Scripture, and it fascinated people, and that's what made them pay attention.
Right. Well, he actually saw himself as Messiah.
Yeah.
Hail Hitler.
Hail Hitler.
Pastor Hitler.
Sort of like North Korea leader, right? I mean,
No, he's different.
I mean, he's there as a dictator. I mean,
Who's that?
Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un.
His son, right? His son, right? Who is the guy who's in there now is the son.
Well,
But
it's a dynasty type thing.
Most dictators do have a follower, but
No.
what's different about Hitler that I've noticed is that we think that of a dictatorship sort of like Stalin, where everybody's scared and they obey him out of pure fear. If you study Germany, they loved Hitler. True, a lot of people in Germany was scared of him, but the majority of Germans loved him.
Oh, you can drive your Volkswagens do too. No, I'm just I'm just playing.
That's a bad joke, man. Real bad.
Don't buzz me. Don't buzz me. Don't buzz me.
I have a question then, because we got on the topic of Christian churches and how we got on the topic of Christian churches and how they don't look at Torah,
Really?
or they. My question is it a misinterpretation of the scriptures? Is the reason why they don't understand, because they're misinterpreting what they're seeing. I speak of that because I have interactions with Christians, and I point to a text that, well, I mean, let's take Judges for example, but it's almost as if they see the words, but they're not. There's that underneath level. There's that Torah that either they've never seen or they misinterpret it as something else. I'm not saying that's right. Obviously, you're against Torah. That's wrong. But is it just a misinterpretation that a lot of people have of the scriptures? Which is why they're not following Torah.
They either adding or subtracting from it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's what it boils down to.
Exactly.
Yeah. One thing I found, and I do what I call Stephen Gay studies. My wife thinks something wrong with me. But one of the things I found about that,
She's
you
right.
ask, is they don't, they know, but they don't want to,
reject.
they reject it because either the pastor of the church doesn't want to upset, doesn't want to upset the balance of the church, or his financial part. But even though, cause me and Pastor was talking about this morning, they just don't want to grasp it for their own personal reasons. They know, and once you show it to them, they say, "Oh yeah, I do that."
Exactly. And I don't want to make this a huge sidebar or something, but the whole premise. We'll take Jesus for example. The name Jesus.
Who's that?
Exactly. But the Christian churches believe that is the name, and that even if we were to say, okay, but what about Yahuwah, they're like, okay, but now it's Jesus, and that just because you change the name doesn't change who it is in their minds.
Okay, I finally opened up the book. So can I read the scripture? Sorry about that last time. So, Yehukanan, or John chapter 12, verse 40. Oh, well, hold on. Kanan Yahoo is here, so let me read up further.
Better.
John 12, what?
John 12, start around 37, but the focus is verse 40. It says, But though he had done so many miracles therefore before them, yet they believed not on him. That the saying of Yeshayahu the prophet might be fulfilled, which he spoke. Who has believed our report, and to whom has the arm of Yahuwah been revealed? With a question mark. Therefore, they could not believe because that Yeshayahu said again. So, verse 40 says, he has blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts, that they should not see with their eyes, nor understand with their heart, and turn back, and I should heal them. So, sometimes, y'all just says,
They're pretty good, Elvoyce. I like that.
Reprobate.
yes, reprobate mind.
Reprobate mind. We have three categories that we have picked up as we're going through the Bible. Apathetic people, who are still held responsible now. Because one of Yeshua's people who are deceived, Yeshua, one of his commands to us,
Keep all thoughts.
is do not be deceived.
Do not
be deceived.
Then you have the reprobate, then you have the remnant, which hopefully, is us. Hopefully in the biblical sense. One of the things we do have to recognize is when you're dealing with a reprobate. You're dealing with a reprobate when you give them the scripture. They agree with it, but they find a reason not to follow it.
James 4:17.
Go ahead and read it.
Since you said it.
Therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth not, to him it is sin.
Right.
Yes.
So, Chad, you have to distinguish who you're dealing with. When you can bring a person out of apathy many times by giving them the truth. But if they continue to deny the truth, they fall into this category. And we know at a certain point of completely denying the truth, we dealt with this last week. Your heart is hardened, and you can't recognize it after a certain point of no return.
Yes.
We use the example of the Pharaoh. Harden his heart, harden his heart. And Yahweh hardened his heart. And the New Testament uses a phrase, turn them over to a reprobate mind.
That's in Romans.
That's heavy, boy.
Chad brought it up.
And then one more, Luke chapter 9, verse 41.
Where we at?
John chapter 9,
John.
verse 41. It says, Yahushua said unto them, if ye were blind, ye should not have no sin. But now ye say, we see. Therefore, your sin remains. So when you talk to Christian, Baptist, don't matter. Oh yeah, we know.
Right. We've heard that expression.
Do you
They
know
know, first example, as he died Friday night, he rose Sunday morning.
Perfect. Math don't work.
Math doesn't work.
It's 3 days and 3 nights.
Nights,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because most important, he didn't just die, but he died according to Scripture. I'm getting the high sign. We got 5 minutes.
We got a superintendent back there. We got a superintendent back there.
15 minutes. What are you talking about?
Oh, is it 15?
Hey, don't question the superintendent, you guys. He tells you it's time up, it's time up.
And the interesting part is that now different Christians I've walked to has said that we don't even believe that Jonah was in the well for 3 days and 3 nights.
They don't believe Jonah?
They don't believe that's part of the part that they're teaching.
But Yeshua said he died. He was 3 days and 3 nights
Right.
in the
Right.
belly of a fish.
But that's now the doctrine. If they don't even believe that, then it makes it easy for them to do the Friday day and a half doctrine, which I don't get.
Well, to go back, most people, I spent a good portion of my life in the Christian church. And one of the things I noticed is the most pious of people, they put their little Bible under their arm and they go to church.
That's where it stays.
That's where it stays.
You trying to say they don't open it up, they just carry
Oh,
it?
they're open up to the cherry-picked sections of the Bible
That's it.
Press it down.
that
Shake
they
it.
memorized.
Shake up.
And you think that, boy, this person is really well read in the Bible. Because the way they plays it out, they'll be able to state it word for word. But you realize after a while, it's only about 20 phrases they know.
Right.
And you very seldom find any of them that have read all the way through the Bible.
Without flyover country.
Mm-hmm.
Without flyover country. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of portions of the Bible that's strictly flyover country today. And then it gets worse because the doctrine I've heard for the last 10 to 15 years is the Old Testament is irrelevant.
Exactly what happened to me on the cruise.
Uh-huh.
With this certain individual, you know who he is.
Bring his name up
I'm
here.
not. But anyway, he said we are living up under the new law. We don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
You know, that is
And
not,
they use that Jesus came to
not
fulfill
relevant anymore.
You know what
law,
you should've did?
scripture.
You know what you should have did?
I didn't do it.
Exactly. You should have thrown him overboard. And you was still gonna get to heaven, even though you killed him. You don't have to live on that no more. Thou shalt not kill.
Are you trying to tell me to commit murder?
No, I'm telling you, it would be no problem with that. Well, every time somebody say that dude we're not living under the old, that means okay, well give me your money. I'm taking your car. I'm taking your wife, and shut up. And I'm going to heaven.
That's what that means, yeah.
That's pretty much what it means.
I always ask them, how do you go with a half a Bible? How do you go with something that's new without having the old?
Actually, that's half the problem.
Right. But what
they saying is
what they want. What I'm saying is they pick what they want. Okay, the Bible is from Genesis to Revelation. You can't
divide it.
You can't divide it and split it up to fit your need. That's not what it's for. And so that's how come our people are perishing in those.
Well, they said that was the promise. He said we living up under the fulfillment of the promise now, so we don't have to deal with that anymore.
What about ties?
I'll just tell you what they say.
Oh, even in the churches that believe that, they don't hesitate.
don't count.
They tied you to death.
Tied-
You have robbed.
Make sure you the kid.
Yeah, they don't even know what that
We know in
is.
the Old Testament. Oh yeah, you got the devil. You better give me that
I
money.
always said one of the things said, let's go see Star Wars, but I don't like, let's not see the first half.
Yeah.
Let's just walk into the middle of the
Right,
movie.
Walk into the middle of the movie.
Man.
But no other area of life do you see that occurring, you know. You don't go to sit in a physics class and they say, well, Newton is old physics. We're just going to study Einstein.
Yeah, right.
Gotta have
You take an art appreciation class, they say, let's forget about Da Vinci and Michelangelo. We're just going to study modern art. That's the only thing that matters.
You guys got some interesting good points.
But
I just
I'm sorry, I didn't turn yet. Romans 8.
man,
Oh yeah.
you need to turn to your
This
script.
guy's a living encyclopedia.
Because
That's what you're here for.
Romans 8, 2 to 8.
2 to 8.
Yeah.
Oh, we got some reading to do.
Go ahead. Who's going to read
For
it?
the law.
He is. He found it.
Yeah.
Hey, they love verse 1, but I don't know.
Yo, go ahead.
No, I'm saying Christian. This is the. Therefore, we are no. No, I'm not. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in the Messiah Yeshua, who walk not after the flesh but after the Spirit. For the law of the Spirit of life in Messiah Yeshua has made me free from the law of sin and death. For what the law could not do in what it was weak through the flesh, Yahuwah sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit do the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against Elohim, for it is not subject to the law of Elohim, neither indeed can be. So then they that are in flesh cannot please Elohim.
Wow. Yeah, that's we can really spend a lot of time unpacking that.
But it goes right back to Judges, what we're reading right now. And in 3 and 7 and 8, it said, and the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yahuwah and forgot Yahuwah their Elohim and served Balaam and the groves. And therefore the anger of Yahuwah was hot against Israel. And he sold them into the hands of that word. What's that word, Yazi?
Which word?
Chanus.
Shushanri.
Yeah.
Judges.
Oh, Chusan?
Yeah, okay, yeah. That word.
Okay, do we see the anger occurring right? do we think that he's not angry now?
He's still angry.
No.
Basically, what we just discussed right now, and why people will be like, "Oh, am I sweet, 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 Jesus."
Okay.
Is he sweet to you?
That's sweet, but we're seeing that when you start going
You
against
can
Yah.
tell he was in the holiness church.
Yeah, you know.
I felt it.
2
I
years
felt it.
old.
You know it.
I was looking for him to jump on top of the table.
I need my order.
The Holy Ghost dance.
The Holy Ghost, the Holy Ghost sure make people dance alike, but no.
Three of us have a holiness background, so we. Okay, let's go from 9 to 14.
We ain't got time, I don't think, do we?
He just said time was up.
No, he
We got 6 minutes. We got 6 minutes. We got
One of the
5
things
minutes
we're
now.
gonna start seeing in Judges,
Man, okay.
why is it named Judges? Because we got judges.
Pretty straightforward.
We got,
Thou shalt not judge.
they're the ones that lead Israel on a national thing throughout this book on up to Samuel. And one of the things we're going to start seeing over and over again is the Holy Spirit. It really is introduced in Judges. The concept of the Spirit came upon a particular person that Yahweh chose to be a judge over Israel at a certain period of time. So why don't we, someone read 9 through, David, you can do that, 14.
9 to 14.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the first judge rescues Israel. When the Israelites cried out to Yah for help, Yah raised up a man to rescue the people of Israel, Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother.
10, emphasize that.
The spirit of Yah came upon him, and he judged Israel. He went out to war, and as Yah gave Cushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand, and he prevailed over Cushan-Rishathaim. And the land was at rest for 4 years. Then Othniel, the son of Kenaz, died. Now the Israelites did evil in the sight of Yah, and Yah strengthened Eglon, king of Moab, against Israel, since they had done what was evil in the sight of Yah. And Eglon gathered to him the sons of Ammon and Amalek, and went and struck down Israel. And they took possession of the city of palm trees. And the Israelites served Eglon, king of Moab, 18 years.
Okay. So for 40 years, they rescued, but then they go right back into the same old thing. Now, who is Moab? What tribe did they come from?
Who's who?
Moab.
Maybe Benjamin, I don't know.
One of Lot's children.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Moabites and Ammonites.
Right.
Yeah, from Lot.
daughters.
Genesis.
So this is a pattern we're going to see all the way through, over and over again. Yahweh will raise up a judge to deliver them from servitude. Oh, and usually when that judge dies, they will wind up going right back into servitude to another tribe, a Canaanite tribe. Another tribe that they were supposed to have driven out of the land. We get about the time up?
We got about 3 more minutes.
Okay. So we're going to see this pattern all through, and I submit that this pattern is going to exist for the next 3,000 years, right on up until the present. The next chapter section is one of the really grossest part. That's when Ehud used his sword,
Shanked him.
sticks it in there, and it gets stuck.
Yes.
That gives that's one of the scenes that give judges an R rating.
Say that again, Elvoyce. What happened now?
Ehud.
Okay.
He kills the Moabite overseer, king that's ruling over to him by sticking a sword in him. And the guy is so fat that the sword gets stuck. So we'll jump into that next week. I'm going to ask Dwayne, because Chad sort of hit on it. One of the things that we have a lot of mistranslations in the Bibles that we have been studying. And we probably need, Dwayne, if you can give a session on finding some of the most major mistranslations that have been taught in Christendom. And how they come out. One example is the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill.
Thou shalt not murder.
Thou shalt not murder.
It's not, it should be thou shalt not murder.
Murder, right.
But the translation was thou shalt not kill. The other
So are we saying that killed is wrong and murder should be there instead of killed?
murder should be there instead of kill.
Because of
So
the,
it's
because of the meaning
It's
of
intentions.
the meaning of kill versus the meaning of
Right,
murder.
you can kill someone in self-defense. That's
Right.
not
No, I know
considered
that.
murder.
That's not
Right.
considered murder.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Mhm. But the particularly the King James version is sprinkled with those kind of mistranslations.
Mistranslations.
Uh-huh. And I would like Dwayne say in about 2 weeks, Bernard's up next week,
Okay.
to go through and find some of the most common mistranslations and how they've inculcated into the Christian.
I'm gonna turn this off now.
Okay, well, let somebody finish up praying. Dwayne?